Welcome back again. It is week 2, day 1 of the LPL, and we are in game 3 between Rogue Warriors and Suning Gaming. Hello, I am still your host, Indiana Frostgrim Black, and I'm still with the velvety tones of Raz. Wow, I always want to say Raz Barunto Muhammad. Barunto Raz Muhammad.
It all just kind of flows together no matter where you put it.
It just sounds so beautiful. No. Game 3. So far, the first thing that I want to talk about, because we do have a substitution coming in, is that Suning have decided to sub out their jungler. So it went from Tien, it is now going to be Hacker. Raz, who is Hacker?
That's a big one. I would say that last split they brought in Hacker for the team to be that aggressive jungler, which is funny because a lot of the champions that we've been seeing coming out of Tien is very shared in between the pools. So Kha'Zix, Lee Sin, both of them are being played by both junglers. I do expect this to be a change-up just because it's a fresh mentality, and I want to see that Lee Sin play coming out of Hacker.
So you think it's a stylistic mismatch there, where they're just trying to catch Flawless off guard?
Yeah, perhaps. I think they're very similar, and it's going to be difficult for a lot of analysts to kind of look at this and say, Tien and Hacker, what's the real difference here? I would say that Hacker has shown more of a propensity to look towards mid lane and try and gank that a little bit earlier on. Maybe that is an indication of that. So I want to see more towards what is the mid lane jungle matchup here. Is it going to be a Malzahar pickup from Knight? Because that seems to be what's interesting me the most.
So if Hacker and Knight are going to be throwing curveballs at the mid lane, you suspect because Hacker does have that tradition of ganking mid, do you think Doinby is the type of guy that can absorb that? We've already talked about how he plays more of the supportive picks,
yes.
the Karma, the Lulu. Is he someone who can just take all of those punches?
He has in the past, but what makes this harder to say now is because we've seen the last game. We've seen the last 2 games, and he's been picked up by not 2 people. It's never just a 2v1. Seems like they just bring in the whole family. So he can deal with a 2v1, maybe even bring in his own jungler at the time because Flawless has been playing really well. But I wonder how many people they bring into this fight. Is it more than just a skirmish? If it becomes a larger fight, because this seems to be an exciting fight between both teams because it's never just a 1v1 or a 2v2.
So where does this match break? As we see the substitution there on your screen, again, it is the jungle sub Tien for Hacker there. Is this the difference? Is this how you break this match open for Suning, by adjusting the jungle?
Yes. In pick ban, and it seems just a mentality as well. Pick ban just because we saw what the Lee Sin could do. I think it would be a waste to ban the Lee Sin just because Hacker's shown a propensity to pick that pick and do very well with it.
So they're trying to cover in draft phase by having Hacker.
Yeah, get the pick for yourself, and at the same time see what you can do in the mid lane. I think that would be a great adaptation.
Cool. Well, it's game 3. We're going to send it over to the casters. Fish, Rusty, close us out.
Game number 3, guys, and Rusty and I are still here to cast and bring it to you, the third and final match. Suning, game 1, one-sided affair. Game number 2 is a big back and forth after Rogue Warriors lost a lot of the... Rogue Warriors were able to pick up a lot of the early game advantage.
Yeah, they certainly were. Of course, we've seen both teams with a single victory apiece now, and we saw a lot more fight from Suning Gaming in the second game, successful teamfight victories, where when Rogue Warriors were behind, they kind of just stayed there. They still fight it, granted, of course. It just wasn't successful in the way they were executing and the decisions behind it. And a lot of this, as we do go into the draft phase, is Rogue Warriors need to get ahead early, and a lot of that does start in the draft.
Well, let's see how this draft affects just that. Zoe, Vladimir, and Camille still being banned up by Rogue Warriors. They want to take Ezreal first once again. This time, though, Cockball Sejuani still on the bench, but Karma is the final man that comes out from Suning Gaming, and they pick up not only the Gnar first, but Tahm Kench straight away from Yoon.
Now, the trade-off for this is the J4, the Jarvan, has not been banned. It is not going to be on the bench. Now, Rogue Warriors have the opportunity to pick it, but we also know how good Flawless is at Lee Sin. Like, we need to reiterate this 17 more times. He can play it. He doesn't need to pick the Jarvan here if he doesn't want. I would say that, yes, something different could be picked. And now the support with it, I think, is how you round out your first 3 picks.
Rise as the pickup for Rogue Warriors. That's going to go into Doinby's hands. And hovering over the Braum. We've seen Braum rise in popularity, mostly against Ornns, where he has the unique ability to completely negate his ultimate.
That's right, he can place down the door and prevent all of Ornn's team fight engage specifically. Of course, the Ornn can still be relevant, just can't send out the horn and be super aggressive. Suning have matched the roles that they wanted to lock in as well, the difference now being AD carry and top lane. I like that they prioritized Xiaowell's matchup, and how good he looked in game number 1 on Gnar was outstanding.
Final pick for Suning Gaming in the first rotation is the Malzahar. That's going to be picked up by Knight into the Rise matchup.
Yeah, knowing his matchup, we actually know that Rise will still do decently well into this one. It's usually the jungle intervention in a matchup like this as to who dictates the difference. And Hacker is in. We've mentioned that on the desk before. Hacker does love mid lane. There is a very real chance that Doinby has a bad time.
You already mentioned, though, Rusty, Xiao Ao did well on the top lane on the Nar pick in game number 1. Immediately, Suning say, well, if he had such a good time, let's make it even easier for him. Gangplank and Ornn taken off the table for Mouse. Whereas double 80 carry bans from Rogue Warriors, Varus and Sivir are the 2 bans that come out.
Yeah, Varus, Sivir, 2 characters that do well into Ezreal and have a lot of push and wave control. Makes you wonder if it's trying to force and bottleneck Fury into the Kalista. Now, he did have a very good Kalista showing, and he's got options like Tristana as well if he wants to hard push. I don't think they even need to pick their AD carry yet if the priority is still going to be around, something we mentioned earlier in the draft phase. Still there.
It seems like Suning have gotten a lot of picks that they would like heading into this game. Hacker will be picking up Jarvan. Lee Sin is locked in for Flawless. Now that's a big pick.
Yeah, it's a bit of a banger of a pick. Now we're waiting for Mouse's last choice for the top lane. He has the counter, I should say, if he chooses to take it. But instead he's going to go towards the tank route. Now, Lee Sin has been locked in again by Flawless. Raz mentioned this, and I think it's important, that Hacker is a super good Lee Sin player. And it's not that Hacker is playing Lee Sin, it's that he is much more adept at playing around it. And I feel like that's one of the biggest reasons for the swap here.
This is really interesting draft phase from both Rogue Warriors as well as Suning Gaming. Mouse being put back on tank duty. Hasn't had the best of games against Xiao Ao. Maokai does well into the Nar top side of the map. Fury and Yoon, same champions. Jarvan and Malzahar, 2 very commonly banned champions between these 2 teams, get picked up by Suning.
Yeah, now I would like for Rogue Warriors with the completed draft here to actually have 3 different minion dematerializers in all of their solo lanes to actually gain tempo. I know that Mouse will probably opt towards that as Maokai into the Nar. That will help a lot for lane control and preventing Xiao Ao from getting damage onto the structure. For Rise against Malzahar in the mid lane as well, it helps a lot. And even for Knight, if he wants to pick it up to destroy cannons with it. I see a lot of merit in it in this particular game, and I want to see what direction they go with it.
Well, let's see if they do pick up those masteries as we do load onto the Rift here, Rusty. I want to echo what we started this series with, what this means for both teams. Suning have been looking like serious East Conference contenders.
Yes.
And they're currently 2-0 in the LPL. On the side of Rogue Warriors, 1-1, but that scoreline doesn't fool anyone. They still look like contenders as well, and this match could not only knock down Suning, but propel them into the same score as their counterparts.
That's right. Rogue Warriors look like a squad that are going to be slow to warm up, but once they get going in this first split of the LPL, then they should be completely unstoppable, as the roster should dictate alone already. Whereas their opponent, Suning Gaming, started poorly, made playoffs last year, and they've hit the ground sprinting in 2018. And you can only expect good things from this roster as they upgraded the mid lane and added Knight.
And Knight has looked unstoppable in that mid lane. We saw his fancy footwork on Rise in a great game 1 as well against Doinby's Malzahar. Now he gets the chance to play the Malzahar into Doinby's Rise, which Suning have apparently been trying to keep from Rogue Warriors picking up this entire series.
Yeah, Rise very powerful on Doinby. We saw him in the Demacia Cup playing Cassidy and Rise and looking exceptional, being able to hard carry whilst building fairly tanky. And a lot of the Abyssal Mask champions is where Doinby goes and where he excels as a mid laner, because he wants to be a tank that can apply damage, pressure, and roam around the rift. And if you have an Abyssal Mask, you don't die in lane, well, it's already a perfect start.
Especially with a stopwatch in his back pocket, he should be fine in that lane. We are on to Summoner's Rift for the 3rd and final match between Rogue Warriors and Suning Gaming. Dematerializes, Rusty. I only see 2 right now. 1 on Malzahar, 1 on Yoon. I don't think this is the lanes you were looking for them. Well, sorry, the champions.
What's that?
I don't think these are the 2 players you wanted to see those dematerializes
No, it wasn't.
on.
It was actually the other team that now has them. So, whilst I was hoping that Mouse would have it, he usually does have it, especially when he plays the Maokai. He has opted away from it. And I wonder if it's just efficiency of build. You know, magical footwear is usually the other route that people would go. If you feel like you're going to lose your lane pretty hard and you feel a little bit cheesy as well, then why not opt into something like Futures Market too?
Whereas Suning are able to find Rogue Warriors going for the same invade that we saw in game number 2. Moving Flawless again in towards the blue buff. Hacker, however, he's going to learn from what happened to Tien in the first match and move straight to the blue buff and pick that one up before Flawless can make his way back.
Yeah, there's not going to be the immediate 3 buff starts here from either jungler. Hacker's the aggressor. He's got the Gnar on the top side, so that does make some sense. As Still, we've just got, let's just say, aggressive vertical jungling. That's just trading low overall.
Bottom side of the map, both bottom laners are going to be looking to see who can tick level 2 first. SMLZ in this match is not going to opt for the double Targon's Brace. He's going to go for the Doran's Blade to kick things off, whereas Fury and Yoon will be still doing that.
Does Hacker go top lane is my question. Does he want to do something a bit more cheesy and creative? Because you're against a Gnar into a Maokai matchup. It's not that you'll get the guaranteed kill, but maybe even a flash, and you start to give some tempo to the Maokai, to the Gnar into the Maokai matchup.
Xiao Ao is, however, pushing in against this Maokai. SMLZ taking a bit of damage there coming out from Fury. And no aggressive invade coming out from Hacker. He moves towards the Scuttle Crab. Flawless clears Hacker's entire bottom side of the jungle, but ignores the Scuttle Crab that is there.
Now, we did just watch SMLZ have a pretty poor trade against the Kalista, and that is not a good omen given that he started with the Doran's Blade into the matchup. It's risky. You want to be more aggressive with the Blade. And now that he's starting to trade just a little bit down, not massively, you're hoping to see the Kleptomancy come up clutch and give him potions, but instead he got a ward. So he can see the enemies as they hit him harder and he doesn't have as much sustain.
Well, he's got a biscuit, so it seems like he has biscuit delivery service as well. That should help him out a little bit in this lane.
Yeah, another way to compensate, of course, for having the Doran's Blade. It's all about controlling the wave a little bit more so. And when you've got Lee Sin on the bottom side, yes, he's currently spotted, but Ezreal will be able to rotate quicker this time.
Hacker is going to be farming through his entire top side of the jungle. He knows that his bottom side is probably gone thanks to Flawless. Flawless returns and picks up a Scuttle Crab for himself. And this bottom lane, SMLZ still being hyper-aggressive against Fury. Yoon doing a good job of blocking the Mystic shots from Ezreal when Fury is out of the open.
A fairly equal trading across the board. The 2v2 we mentioned it has control. Mid lane is sharing teleports and top lane is just having to push and deal with one another as they push towards usually the Maokai side of the lane. It is those junglers where naturally you'll direct your attention and see if they can make the ganks, but you mentioned it, Fish. With just full clears to be seen, it's all about that what's next after. And it feels like a Lee Sin not getting the ganks off, not having the buffs available, is probably just waiting around for level 6.
Potentially. But a very quiet game between Rogue Warriors and Suning to kick things off. Flawless is going to be spotted out by that ward. Put down a pink ward of his own, knows that he's collapsing in towards Hacker. Doinby is here as well. Let's see what Hacker decides to do. Can just flag and drag his way out. And Flawless, I believe that's one of the first cues we've seen him miss.
Hacker.
Sticking around, he's not afraid of him.
You don't need to place the control ward 1 second after they place a ward. They're just going to turn around and kill it, buddy.
Now it could be sitting there looking for that collapse. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Rogue Warriors take some damage.
He's not done.
Get out. Knight, he's going to be found by Flawless. That's some good damage coming out from the Lee Sin. Hacker's going to follow up, and Flawless says, you know what? I've done my job. I'm getting the heck out of here.
Flawless is invading because he has the timer of the enemy wolves. He also knows the Gromp, and he wants to be aggressive and make those plays. Doinby was there at the correct time as well, and suddenly Flawless chunks out Knight. Doesn't have teleport, so he has to walk back to lane as Bottom's teleports in.
Teleport coming out from Mouse right behind Suning's bottom lane. Young going aggressive against Kulor. He's even flashing for it. Eats him up. Is that enough damage? One more auto attack would be enough. Not enough from the Ignite, and SMLZ gets first blood.
Yoon tries his little heart out to get a kill, but it's not going to be there in the end. First blood over to Rogue Warriors, and the first blood goes over to SMLZ, the big carry of game number 2. Flawless doesn't need to contribute to that bottom lane if they're already doing work like this. This time, it was Mouse.
The MVP of that second match while you're at it there, Rusty. Fury trying to defend this start, has 3 members strong from Rogue Warriors pushing on through. And will be able to pick up a decent amount of farm for himself.
Well, certainly will. Fury's not in a bad position. There is a CS disadvantage for him, but he'll catch up most of these now. It's more so just that SMLZ is ahead with that gold, running the Kleptomancy once again on the Ezreal. And I guess we can note at this stage that Ezreal is a high priority for a reason between both AD carries. Of course, just in the world in general, but particularly in this set, the Ezreal just seems to win.
Very early pickup for the Man Immune coming out from Ezreal as well. SMLZ should be starting to take control of this lane against Fury and Yoon. Flawless just heads back into his jungle, continues to farm up. Hasn't had the same impact that he had in game number 2, but still starting off this game nice and strong.
Now, I think your counterplay from Sin Gaming, based off Rogue Warriors having the early edge, is actually to send Knight and Hacker towards the top lane where Xiao Ao is. There's no summoners for Mouse, so if you really want, you can do the opposite of that, however, and send them all to the bottom lane / the Mountain Drake, utilizing the teleport that you have an advantage. I just feel like it's a bit easier to pick apart what is just armor boots on a Maokai at 6 minutes in the game as we cross over to the ultimates available point.
Flawless donates blue buff over to Doinby. Neither jungler has hit level 6 just yet, but the two solo lanes have been able to do so. Doinby even slightly ahead of the rest of the map.
Doinby on his rise too, of all things. With a CS advantage this large, 67 at 7 minutes is pretty much perfect CS.
Tear of the Goddess and Catalyst being picked up by him as well. Hacker waiting in the wings once more, but Flawless has wards everywhere to try and spot him out.
Yeah, that's a full set of wards.
Tags him once more. Hacker takes quite a bit of damage from this Lee Sin. And he will lose another control ward.
But Flawless just continuously plays with fire simply because he knows he can. Mouse teleported bottom lane last time. Now he's walking in the jungle, and the Rise is already here, and first at that.
He's able to get this red buff, or potentially take this red buff. Na's still on the top side of the map. Xiao does have teleport, but with the Maokai here, Flawless is going to be able to get another good counter jungle going onto the red buff camp. You
have to watch where Hacker and Knight go in response to this now. Do they go to the bottom side of the map? Well, realistically, because the 2v2 of Rogue Warriors is winning, they cannot. That means that it's just a clean red steal to be secured by Flawless and the rest of Rogue Warriors. Well done as a team to pick up those smaller extra advantages. They're still looking. Well, one of them is now.
Hello. Doinby is now over the wall. Hacker looking to see if he can reset this. Doinby is going to be able to pick it up. Hacker then goes aggressive, but he doesn't have anyone in front of him. Doinby just says, you know what? I'm going to take this ultimate and get the heck out of here. Flawless forced to flash away from the chasing Malzahar, but still, they take both red buff and blue buff.
I think that Knight probably should have flash ulted the Rise before he got the Zonias off. There was a hint of delay from Doinby. He wasn't sure if he needed to Zonias. He saw the Malzahar and then opted into it. There was an opportunity to get a kill there. Instead, it's just the blue buff. Doinby with so much pressure and with no smite from Hacker, they're able to pick up a consecutive objective and a major one away from the jungle of a Sunin.
Hesitant coming out from the Suning mid laner. Suning slowly falling further and further behind. About 1,000 gold is what separates these two teams, but Rogue Warriors look in control of the map for now. Yun now trying to blast Kun away. That's a teleport coming in from Doinby right behind them. Fury does have flash. Yun's in some trouble. He'll use nice and early. Yun will be able to eat him back up. Looking to try and kick him back into the team, but Yun wants to get over the wall. Throws Fury out. Fury pulls the time coach back. Hacker says, let's go back in. Come on and slam. Fury even flashing it towards the fight. Knight is here now. Yun gets that first kill. Xiao is trying to get into the back lines. SMLZ snipes one off. He jumps back in knowing that there's a Na right behind him. Na with his first kill of the fight. Knight popping his own stopwatch trying to get away. Flawless almost gets him, but Knight flashes at the right time. Doinby is going to fall. Xiaoao picks up that kill. There's a 3-for-2 trade going in favor of Suning Gaming.
Xiaoao arriving is the major difference here. Mouse's teleport once again is about 5 seconds away at the end of the fight. And they just bring too many extra members down. He's still pressuring. He's still pushing forwards. He wants to fight.
He's still going for it. He says, I'll fight you, Flawless. Takes a lot of damage for that. Will turn into Mini Na and jump away.
The end of the trade, though, Fish. It felt very disjointed. It felt very disconnected as to how these fights are happening. But Rogue Warriors are going first. They're making the plays. They wanted to take down Fury and Yun. Kalua's about 15 degrees off on all of his Braum ultimates, but Flawless was there to kick them. And they get over the wall. You're like, okay, it's done. And then Hacker just jumps in on the ball. They throw everyone back in and flash back. Like, what on earth? It's because Knight's there, and Xiaoao also has the teleport. However, by the time they get there, most of Suning Gaming have started to die.
Nice to see the beauty of stopwatch here, Rusty, as 4 members of Suning use it during that team fight.
Whole lot of golden
one by
men.
one.
But the stopwatches were the real MVP, you were correct. What should have been a lot more deaths for Suning Gaming was a calculated risk that shows perhaps mastery of the current patch and the current meta, and Xiaoao is the winner with his Black Cleaver. Black
Cleaver is ripping Mouse to shreds. Xiao threatening to go Mega as well. Good return damage from Mouse as well, some sustain from his passive. And once more, Rogue Warriors have their eyes set towards the bottom lane. Mouse is going to be able to get down there. Fury stuck underneath his turret, no flash available for the poor Kalista. Flawless rightfully picks up a kill for himself. Now Doinby's down here as well. Sunny, you've got to run, abandon the bot lane. There is no hope for you down here. Ultimate gets thrown out by Mouse. Yun's going to try and get away, but Flawless, did he stop him? He was cancelled. cancel, gets the damage down. Gonna continue chasing down this Cane Toad as far as possible. Yoon will slowly fall to Lee Sin here, trying to go for that one-on-one. We'll have a little bit of grey health, throws out a control ward while he's at it, but Flawless, easy kill for him.
Yeah, Flawless knew that he had it in the end. A confident play from him, didn't go for anything crazy, just stood still and delivered the damage. Rogue Warriors now also getting that first turret with so many different teleports down into the bottom lane. This time picking up on the advantage with the fact that Sunin don't have it. Xiaowel's responding, but they also know that Mouse, he can't 1v1 Xiaowel at this stage. That was a 2-0 now with a blue buff coming up to his lane. So he gets the heck out of there, and instead they kill bottom.
Big team fight coming up from Suning. A great macro play from them to rotate down into the bottom lane over and over and over again. Knight returns into the mid lane, going to continue holding this turret. Top lane outer has fallen in favor of Suning Gaming, whereas Rogue Warriors did respond with the bottom lane outer turret.
And now we've started to see a much more conventional style of swapping of lanes here. SMLZ, with the bottom turret already gone, goes towards top. Means they want to extend the duration of the 2v2 laning. The Ezreal and the Braum want to persist. Doinby's also switched towards the Ghost. So there's going to be a lot less teleport plays, more slow, calm plays as Doinby crests over to a level 11, however. Going from mid to top, just a stone's throw away.
Still teleport available on Knight. So Suning have that map advantage for now.
They want the red buff.
Again.
They have the timers on lock.
See Mouse against Xiao here, trying not to go too aggressive. Yoon looking to see what he can do. Furious here, good kick into the Tahm Kench. However, Flawless taking quite a few spears. Will blast Cone over.
Very cheeky ward hop as well to make sure that Kalista can't blast him back with all the spears in him. That Ren would have been dangerous. Unless he gets out with the red buff, gets out with pretty much full health after that scuttle too. That was a risky move from him, but let's call it calculated because he is flawless after all.
Certainly is. Has looked great in this game once more on Lee Sin. Rift Herald is something that he's dancing around now. Does have a ward over the pit. Flawless takes it over.
They're looking for the top lane outer turret, and he wants to cut everybody off from Sunin Gaming and getting to the area. The vision's already in place from them, so it's really risky for Sunin to even be here until everybody arrives. Fury wasn't able to step up and deal with SMLZ in any kind of 1v1 capacity until now.
Could see a 2-on-2 here. Xiao Al is trying to run away. He was spotted out, and Doinby as well as Mouse on the hunt. About 4 seconds they have to find him. Not going to be in time, though. Unlucky.
Now they're just wasting time trying to find him. Where's he gone? It's magic.
That's how it gets a couple of Raptors and is able to go back to base. Picks himself up the Mercury Threads.
Yeah, everyone. I mean, the top lane of Sunin Gaming, once again, is a big point of power for them. The problem where they were successful in game number 1 is that Fury and Yoon aren't by any means strong. They are really far behind, especially compared to their laning counterparts.
Uh-oh, there's an ultimate coming out from Knight, trying to lock down Doinby. Follows up with Yoon and Hacker. They just pile on in. Can Doinby live through all this damage? Fury flashing forward. He gets a shield.
He's
Doinby,
living.
how the heck are you still alive? And it's going to be Rogue Warriors that try to turn around this team fight. Fury going to back away. They still don't have SMLZ, so they can't go in. But you know what? Flawless says, I can still go in. I'm flawless. Jumps back in, gets some damage, and Rogue Warriors disengage.
He's certainly going to try Flawless to keep poking around and going back forwards. Doinby, the fact that he is alive is impressive. Gets the shields constantly up and available. Has the support from the team. And that was after a Malzahar ultimate locks him down. So Rogue Warriors, they hold on. The Malzahar not securing the kill means that they can now look forwards aggressively for objectives.
They move straight towards the Mountain Dragon. That's going to be picked up. Meanwhile, sitting on top of the Rift Herald. Yoon as well as Fury looking to try and take the one. Spotted out by Ezreal. And this takes some time, especially since Hacker is not there for the smite.
He's definitely in range. It depends if they want to play this one out, Rogue Warriors. Because they didn't have to back.
Doinby might just pick this one up for his team. Flawless is on his way with the smite. And he says, thank you very much, Suning Gaming. I will take this Rift Herald. It's very kind of you.
Yeah, easy as you like. The Rift Herald now belongs to them. Thank you for the leash. And Suning Gaming's bottom lane that was doing the Herald has to go back to base, which gives a bigger opportunity once again for SMLZ. With all of the wave clear that he's got from the Iceborne Gauntlet to continue to push in the top side. Tahm Kench has got ultimate, however, so if Fury's just here, never assume he's alone.
They tried and they tried, but Doinby was just way too tanky. I mean, Abyssal Mask as well as now a Glacial Shroud. It's very difficult to kill this Rise, Rusty.
Yeah, he builds tank. You don't know Doinby, now you know.
Oh, he's going to try and get into the back lines here. Fury kiting around his top lane outer turret to keep himself alive. It's going to be Flawless. Takes most of the damage as well as Yoon. Knight looking to try and charge into the team fight as well as the teleport. Going to be cancelled by Mouse in the bottom lane to try and get into this. However, it is the top lane outer turret that falls. Xiao still trying to trade aggressively against the Maokai in the bottom lane as Suning look to reposition defend against Rogue Warriors once again.
Xiao is going to make him hurt a whole lot in the bottom lane as the 1v1 is concerned. The CS is growing, the advantage is going for the Nara, and eventually that bottom lane outer turret will drop. But in the meantime, Rogue Warriors are winning the rest of the map, and now the teleport's gone from Mouse. That helps a whole lot for Suning Gaming for pressure around the entire map. But the turret went, the gold still continues to grow a little bit more for our blue team here.
It's now 2,000 gold that Rogue Warriors hold over Suning Gaming. And this is a much closer game, Russ. We thought game 2 was, but it was back and forth. Very wild gold swings between the two. This is a dead even match.
I guess now's also a good time to clarify as they're fighting on the bottom lane outer turret that Doinb always goes Righteous Glory on Rise. He goes Righteous Glory every single time he plays because he likes being tanky. And I guess the concept behind Righteous Glory, right, is that you don't need to ult into the backline. You can actually just run at them with your Ghost, pop Righteous Glory, and no one can escape you. You have a slow at that as well if you're standing next to them. And so you can effectively be a tank and an engage for the team, which helps a whole lot when a Maokai tends to be flanking and a Braum requires a lot of passive stacks and auto attacks to actually get that off. But last time I saw Doinb build this, he just ulted behind them anyway, so the Righteous Glory was just like a modern-day Randuin's Omen, which still exists, so he didn't really need it.
Well, Freak would not only be proud of your analysis, Rusty, but also your puns that you've thrown in between this Righteous Glory. Horrendous at that. They're still going to continue sieging the mid lane, taking down this mid lane outer turret low, but Hacker jumps in. He's going to die inside the mouth on the time catch, and Flawless with a kickback onto Knight. He's forced to flash away incredibly low. Kahlua goes forward. He gets the kill onto the Malzahar, and Rogue Warriors, they've come for a fight. Fury gets locked down by Doinb. SMLZ Arcade shifts onto his face. Xiao just watches as the rest of his team falls, and he falls with them. Rogue Warriors with the ace.
The clean ace. Everybody almost alive here from the side of Rogue Warriors. Just the support is the casualty. The turret falling almost simultaneously with the ace, and a massive lead now accrued and stretches further for the Rogue Warriors roster. Nothing else to get besides the mid lane turret, so we just once again get to watch this replay. And the aggression, the fact that there's so many tanks in the Rogue Warriors lineup, but because the tanks are ahead, they will still kill you clean as a whistle from Flawless with his kicks back into the team, and Knight nowhere to go but the Death Chamber. Ezreal is fed. Doinb is fed on the Rise, and they've both built tanky, so it's just 5 damage-dealing tanks running around on the Rift, and Fury cannot do a thing. Xiao's just left to try his heart out.
And Hacker missing the flag drag combo, trying to lock down SMLZ after his arcane shift forward.
Honestly, even if he locked him down, I don't think he'd die.
He still had flash. Knight now trying to run away, pops the Ghost. Doinb was waiting to see if he could deliver them into the back lines, but instead, Baron buff is now up. Stop it, Flawless.
You ever seen Rengars interact with explosive plants? That's my favorite thing ever.
Jumping onto it, being knocked back in the same place that it came from that bush. It's great. Suning now know that this Baron buff has been sudden at half health.
Oh, they want to fight though.
Here comes the Rise ultimate. Let's go. Pile on in, boys. Yoon trying to flash away from Mouse. Mouse flashes forward. Instantly locks down Knight. Nothing that Malzahar could do in that fight. Doinb split off from the rest of the team. 4 members of Rogue Warriors on top of Yoon. He pops the great health. Gets a big shield, but 3 members strong. They take him down, and immediately they ping to go straight back towards Baron.
Easy picks, easy map movements from Doinb on his Rise. You got to see the Righteous Glory in play there as well as he just sprinted at literally everybody back into the Baron pit. And from this point, with 2 members dead, defending and actually taking that away from Rogue Warriors is near impossible.
Hacker's going to be split off from Doinb. Fury as well as Xiao gets some good damage onto the Rise. Xiao is going mega. Gets the wall up over the wall, throws in a big boulder.
Doinb is running distraction, however.
Trying his best. Braum gets a big ultimate over the wall. Good Nara ultimate onto SMLZ as well as Kahlua, but they're still fighting from the pit. Fury in trouble. Time catch coming over the wall. SMLZ gets another kill. Hacker's trying to run this one away. Yoon and Knight have rejoined the fight. Everyone's
Flawless
low inside of
needs
this
help.
pit. Flawless wants to take down this Baron, but can he do it? Smites early. SMLZ will get that final Q. Knight in trouble as well as Doinb almost takes him down, but Rogue Warriors get the Baron. Baron.
With the 9,000 gold lead after securing that Baron, Rogue Warriors can collect the minion waves, they can go back to base, and they can spend all of the money that they've been able to pick up for themselves. Such a good Game 3 performance coming out of the roster. Given that Game 1 shaky start, they've completely turned it around in the second, and this has looked very good.
Already Rogue Warriors 8,000 gold ahead of Suning Gaming. They've got a tanky Rise, Mouse who looks great back on the Maokai, and a Braum to aid to the front lines. And once again, SMLZ on this Ezreal. Looks pixel perfect in most of these team fights. He's aggressive, he's not afraid to go forward.
He's aggressive enough to have a serrated Dirk as his Ezreal for a last item. We are 22 minutes in the game, so he may finish the item, but instead of a Vamp Scepter, to go towards a Mercurials. So it's a bit pickaxe perhaps to finish off the item soon. And he's like, you know what? Let's get lethality.
Which one of those items is he going to go for? Or is that just a... He's going to go for the Dustblade.
Surely. It'll be if he gets to the stage where he has to buy again and the game isn't over, the Dustblade for Q-Procs is nuts.
Well, SMLZ, let's see if he does end up completing that item. Suning are incredibly far behind Rogue Warriors now after what seemed to be a very even matchup. Look, nothing happened, all right? They did not want to cooperate. They had the right to remain silent, and they did. Rogue Warriors now pushing down the bottom lane with the rest of their Baroned up minions.
They actually have a Baron wave down here now. Rise ultimate not needed.
SMLZ still arcane shifting very far forward. Good damage onto Hacker coming out from Doinby. Popped his Righteous Glory there.
Doinby does have to hit full spell rotations to do any damage given how tanky his build is, but with a complete Seraphs, there's no chance that he dies unless everybody is hitting him at the moment, and they continue to pressure. And that's the thing, all of these tanks, even on those carries, Suning Gaming to defend this structure need to fight straight away. But Rogue Warriors can just disengage if they want.
Mouse throws out the ultimate nice and early. SMLZ gets clipped by a couple of spells, but he's still fairly healthy. Locking down Xiao, who turns into Mega before he can jump back out. Hacker critically low. Has to be ulted out by Yun there as the rest of Rogue Warriors march down the bottom lane. They take down an inhibitor turret as well as an inhibitor and still have some of their Baron buff to work with.
Yeah, Hacker is mostly irrelevant right now as a player on Suning Gaming's roster until the Guardian Angel or something else that's equally as tanky exists. He's gone full utility in his defense, rushing a Locket. So that's acknowledgement from him as well, that I am nothing but a knock-up bot and someone that may have the ultimate down to lock multiple people into the arena, but I have to keep my carries alive. And then you look at his carries. You got a 1-4 Kalista and a 0-2 Malzahar. Really, the carry is nah. He's not going to be doing damage anymore. It's completely dropped off. So they are so reliant on waiting 5 to 10 more minutes. Another complete item at least for Fury so he can keep up with the trading of the other team.
Oh, the biggest wombo combo they've ever seen has to take place for Suning here. There's still ways for them to fight out these team fights, just doesn't look good for them at the moment.
I think they need a 5-man Gnar ultimate to scoop them into the fountain. If he hits that, honestly, he's Jesus, and then they might win. But firstly, he's definitely Jesus for doing that.
He's got to go back 2018 years, Rusty. Doinby going to go locked down. There you go, Knight. Flash it forward with the ultimate this time round. Locks him down. Hacker picks up the kill. Mouse threw out the ultimate to try and stop them from pushing forward. This is a 4-on-5.
They're going in.
And Tamkesh is behind. Rogue Warriors got to try and fight this one out. Flawless jumps back in. Mouse trying to play spoiler, locking them backwards. SMLZ trying to get away from this big Gnar. Using the QSS. Is going to get locked down by the Wallop. Now in the backlines can fight front to back. Arcade shifts out of Hacker's ultimate. Hacker going to be the first casualty coming out from Suning Gaming. And Mouse, he is just so taking the front lines. That's a slam into a flash. And SMLZ says, let's go, boys, as he keeps going forward. Good spears coming out from Fury, trying to lock down the rest of Rogue Warriors, who are fairly low, looking to try and kite this one back. What was a 4-on-5 has turned into a very close 4-on-4.
And it should just be the disengage in the end from both teams. They have to lick their words in gaming, and everybody from the side of Rogue Warriors does not die, but they can walk away as well, quite happy knowing that in a 4v5, they almost won.
Really, really clean play coming out from Rogue Warriors to disengage from that. Very risky at that. But still, they were able to disengage successfully. Knight flashing forward to pick off Doinby, something we criticize him for not doing very early in the game.
Yes, he did it this time. So an improvement, a notable improvement from Knight, the mid laner of Suning Gaming. The other thing that always stands out to me, and one of the reasons that you don't want to see Yoon ever getting Tahm Kench if you're playing against him, is how confidently, how quickly, and how aggressively he knows they have an advantage, and he brings the tank with him into the back line. It's done so expertly by him that any kind of 4v5, any kind of pick that Knight is able to contribute and provide to, just opens up the map to them for team fighting.
Suning have bought some time for themselves, Rusty. It's not a lot, but anything will do for them at this point in the game. 10,000 gold behind Rogue Warriors. Xiaoao might be slightly caught out here. SMLZ gonna get that slow proc, and Doinby is delivering flawless into the back lines here. Xiaoao gets caught 45 seconds before Na comes back up. 50 seconds on an Infernal Dragon as well as a minute 10 on the Baron buffer. Pings are going towards the mid lane inhibitor turret.
We just mentioned how good Tahm Kench is for Yoon. Well, Doinby is someone that shouldn't get Rise either. The amount of times that it has been banned from him. Pick Xiaoao off in a side lane. Bottom lane Inhib is already dead, so they move towards top and mid. They try and threaten both of these lanes. Suning Gaming have fantastic vision, but it doesn't matter if Rogue Warriors just run it down the lane.
They have the Maokai ultimate. Righteous Glory being used by Mouse. Hacker lockdown. Flawless jumps in. Fury will pull back the Tahm Kench to safety. Mouse with the zoning ultimate to make sure Rogue Warriors can take down the top lane inhibitor turret. Inhibitor's going to fall shortly after. Immediately, Rogue Warriors try to collect the minion wave in the mid lane. Looking to try and take down the final inhibitor turret, as well as that final inhibitor. Suning have to try and put up a fight somewhere, Rusty.
They absolutely just walk straight to mid lane. The desperation fight is necessary, and soon. Xiaoao, he's stacking up his Narbar. He's getting angry. He has to go forwards or the game will just start to end.
Doinby flashing forward. Yoon gonna eat up Knight, trying to spin him out back to safety. Pops the Ghost to try and run through this team fight. Clips by the ultimate, but there goes Doinby trying to deliver people to the back lines. Cancels the ultimate. Mouse going forward. SMLZ with the first kill of this team fight. Fury trying to kite this one back. Xiaoao's retreating. Flawless almost going as deep as the fountain. And Rogue Warriors once more gonna try and zone them away from the Nexus. All inhibitors have fallen. One of the Nexus turrets is gonna fall shortly. Doinby again locking down Knight. Great damage. Xiaoao, Fury, and Knight trying to put up this last stand, but it just doesn't look good for them, Rusty.
It doesn't look like a Mouse with the teleport in as well. The game should completely be over here, Fish.
And Doinby trying as hard as he can. Flawless goes into the fountain briefly, but dodges back out with the safeguard. Rogue Warriors, they went down in game number 1. It was a one-sided affair, but game 2 and game 3, they come back. They pick up the series 2-1 against Suning.
And a bit of redemption for the Rogue Warriors. Roster, organization, and fans getting the victory against Suning Gaming. One of the contenders for 3rd or 4th place in this group. And finally, we see a semblance of hope for Rogue Warriors as an entire team. Some strength, some positives. Flawless is just an absolute machine, and he should never get Lee Sin again. We said that after game 2. Well, guess what? He got it again in game number 3.
With that win, Rogue Warriors move up to 2-1 in the East Conference, knock Suning down to 2-1 as well. And they'd be happy to have the head-to-head win.
And all smiles from the Rogue Warriors roster as well as they get to take a well-deserved bow after their victory here in Shanghai.
And it comes back to a couple of the points we talked about, Rusty. Was the onus on Flawless? Game 2 and 3, it was definitely the proactive member. Who were the carries for Rogue Warriors as well? Doinby picking up the Rise, he looked fantastic. 2 games of SMLZ playing Ezreal, the first of which he picked up MVP. Still waiting to see who the MVP for game number 3 was. And they delivered coming into that game.
Yeah, but the thing that makes this so exciting to me is that in the second game, we highlighted SMLZ. He was the MVP. He did a lot of damage, over 40% of his team's damage. So an abundance of work. And you come into the third game, and I wouldn't be surprised if you said SMLZ was still a massive carry for them, but it was Mouse. It was Mouse teleporting from the top lane, not once but twice, and then Doinby teleporting from mid lane to bottom as well. They recognized that SMLZ is strong, and they said, well, let's just all go down there. And I feel like the MVP performance from this game was actually just the entirety of the Rogue Warriors roster.
And we heard from Doinby, if Mouse is playing well, we're all playing well. And Mouse was playing well in that 3rd and final game. The unsung hero of Killua as well in that bottom lane supporting SMLZ. Had a few good Braum games, not only stopping the Ornn ultimates when he was up against it, but in this match, locking down crucial members, protecting SMLZ when he had to.
And 19-5 was the final scoreline as well. Not a massive priority on Drakes by any means in this game. just kind of took them where applicable. A lot of the extra effort, a lot of the emphasis was actually on Flawless in the early game, getting the invades, going into the jungle, and having the rest of the team there to support him constantly. Game 2, it was the first round of buffs that they tried to steal. In the second game, it was actually the second rotation of blue and red buffs. That aggression, when Rogue Warriors find that moment, that opportunity to go forwards, they do it with conviction. And when it works, it looks fantastic.
And Hacker was touted to be the man that knew Lee Sin better than Flawless and was not able to deliver in that match on the Jarvan. Unfortunately, for Suning, it's going to be Rogue Warriors to pick up the 2-1 victory and that reverse sweep. For now, they're going to send it back to the analyst desk to break down that tie series.
Thanks, guys. And well, Mr. Plasm, you told me that Suning had the stronger talent individual. That Suning were the favorites to win the series.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. What happened?
I didn't say that. You don't have video footage of that at all. No, okay. So I still stand by that. But the biggest key...
That's fair. I like when an analyst holds his conviction.
I'll stand by it. But I think the biggest key was actually the team play, the adaptation that came to that. So the adaptation that Suning made was very little. Very little adaptation. We talked about what they should have done. What they should have done was pick up the Lee Sin or ban it. Those are two options that we kind of presented to them. They still remain stubborn in the sense that we can play against it, that it doesn't matter who we're going up against. Doesn't matter that he's the man of the match, Flawless here. We can fight that back. That was not the case. Early game should have been Suning, but Flawless was always in the enemy jungle. Flawless was the man of the match.
I love this idea that you're presenting because I feel like a lot of analysts, a lot of the community will look at something like a Lee Sin and they'll be like, the draft phase, Suning, what are you doing? Why didn't you ban it? And you're saying, no. It's not necessarily always the draft. It's just the execution there. And we did see a very different execution on the side of Rogue Warriors. Rusty and Fish were constantly using that word proactive, and it felt like Rogue Warriors were proactive so early and everywhere on the map.
Yeah, that was a problem that they had in Game 1, but they just fixed it going into Game 2, and then made it, literally stood their ground going into Game 3 on that point because it worked so well in Game 2. And it just felt like from the simple converging onto the jungler Tien in Game 2, we saw that happen, but that just kept happening game after game. And there was no response coming in from Suning because they really didn't know what to do. The jungle outmatch was there, and Doumbé really made the play worth it when he went towards the bottom side. I don't even know how many times. There were just so many TP plays. I was like, wait a minute, that's happening again?
Bottom lane was literally the place to be in that stopwatch fight. So the replay here is technically of Suning kind of coming out ahead, even though Rogue Warriors won the game. But look at all the stopwatch uses. And reminder, Suning were the team that did that 6 stopwatch play that made front page Reddit just the other day.
Yeah, Rusty said it best. Seems like they have a good understanding, a good grasp of when to fight in this stopwatch meta. This was a great fight with Suning, so it's not a one-sided affair by any means. That's how close this series was. Even though Rogue Warriors went for this play time and time again, they were persistent and went for it, and it worked after that fight. And here's the Baron fight, where honestly, Mouse was just godly because he is a tanky Maokai, and how are you going to be able to take him down?
And it's finally, we can see Rogue Warriors all moving together. You talk about Maokai. I also want to highlight Doumbé right there on the rise, playing the Righteous Glory. We know that this guy does some weird things. He currently holds actually the highest DPM, or the record for highest DPM of any champion in the LPL on his Iceborne Gauntlet Victor.
Yes.
And now we see a Righteous Glory rise. Like, does this guy have no ends?
Here's what's really funny, because like when you get into the LPL, there's always that video that plays about, and it showcases WE talking about sacrifice for the team. That has been the case for Doumbé since he's joined the LPL, because when he gets himself in a lead, oftentimes he just starts building tankier items. Because he's like, I want to force fights on the bottom side of the map. I want to force fights whenever we can, because we're theoretically strong as a team. And because I am tankier, we're kind of snowballing. If we lose, it's not necessarily because I built these items, because these items should have solidified our win. So it's really nice to see that coming out of Doumbé. I know a lot of analysts are going to try and jump on that, but it's a victory, and that's the end of the day for him.
Is this the highest point that we think Rogue Warriors, like, did we just see Rogue Warriors in their S tier class? Is it Mouse, going forward on the Maokai? Is it Doumbé being that supportive style? Is this what we should expect, that it's Flawless and it's SMLZ? They are the carries.
Yes, this was the picture we were kind of presented when we were going into week 1, that this is what Rogue Warriors are going to be. Aggressive jungler, we saw that. A solid, experienced, tanky top laner, we also saw that. And SMLZ and Killua, of course, on the bottom side of the map, playing a massive, I would say, carry going forward into the later portions of the game. We saw all of that today.
But so what happens when the meta shifts? When they don't have a hyper-scaling, ADC composition or a aggressive junglers? What if Cinderhulk junglers come back? Are they screwed?
Flawless has played through that meta. I think it is a good challenge just because we need to still see Mouse when he plays carries. If it goes straight back towards the top lane, split push carries, can he resolve that? I don't know if he can make that, that push. We've seen
jump?
a lot of questions if he can do that. That is a real question. But I think that they'll just move towards mid lane because we also seen Duinplay play an aggressive like Vladimir, these massive team fighting mid laners, so he can do that as well.
But still hasn't picked up the Azir. Now, on the other side there for Suning, this series started out pretty hot and heavy for them, came out blasting game number 1. They've looked good, although strength of schedule, they haven't faced the toughest teams, JD Gaming as well as LGD. Do they have anything left?
Yeah, they definitely do. This team has a lot to grow because they still have Knight and Tian that just really started out for the team, so I want to see where they go from here.
Okay, perfect. Well, we are going to go ahead and send it over into an interview. Clement is going to be sitting down with Mouse, and then right after that, we've got TOP versus JDG.